Hey guys, welcome to next video on overview of academic writing task 1. So we will discuss in detail in this video that what you will be asked in task 1. So I hope you know in academic writing you are going to get two tasks. Task number 1 is a short report and task number 2 is essay writing, right? So we are talking about task 1 here. So in task 1, you will be given a diagram, which could be a graph, table, chart, or a process diagram, and you'll be asked to describe, summarize, or explain the information in your own words. So you are provided with the diagram and you are supposed to explain what it represents. Now, to do that, you have to analyze the diagram or graph, whatever is presented in front of you, and then you have to analyze that diagram and then use it to summarize the given information. So you are analyzing the graph, you are analyzing the diagram, so you have to summarize the given information, whatever is presented in that graph, by picking and reporting its main features and making relevant comparisons. We'll come to it later, what main features are and what comparisons are. Right, so I'm just defining what is report writing and what you need to do in your report, what you need to write in your report. So you have to analyze the diagram and then you have to summarize the given information, whatever is presented in the diagram, by picking and reporting its main features and making relevant comparisons. So let me show you one example here. So as you can see, so this is the graph. So you have got two bar graphs here and you have to summarize the information. As you can see, you have been mentioned here, summarize the information by selecting and reporting the main features and make comparisons where relevant. So it's clear, right? It's clear what is asked from you in this task. So examiner wants us to summarize the information by selecting and reporting only the main features and make comparisons where relevant. Right, so task 1 is going to look like this. Now let's discuss some key points for task 1. You will see a graph, table, a diagram with multiple information. As you can see in this example, you have got lots of information here. You do not need to report everything in the figure. You just need to pick up the main features. Generally, you would see there are around 5 to 6 different things in any graph. So as you can see, there is a lot of information given here. So you only need to pick up the main features. So as I said, generally there would be around 5 to 6 different things in any graph or bar chart or pie chart, whatever diagram you get in the exam. But main features, the main features which you need to report, won't be more than 2 or 3. So do not write all the things presented in front of you. You can even lose marks. For example, if you write about all 5 things which are presented, right? So it's not that you're going to get extra marks, but you are probably going to lose marks because you are going against the question, right? So we are asked to summarize the information by selecting and reporting the main features and make comparisons where relevant. So we are only going to report the main features and then making the comparison. Next thing, always remember, do not give opinion on task 1. You should only report what is shown in the diagram. Do not give any reason why a graph moves in a certain way. So as you can see here, you see They have talked about computer ownership. I think it was very less in 2002, and then in 2002 it was, I think, around 70, something like that, 70%. So you are not going to give the reason why this graph is moving in this certain way. You're not going to do that, right? So if you have never worked on diagrams or illustrations yet, do not worry, they are just visual representation of numbers. So it's like they have provided one illustration, one diagram, just to represent the numbers, how things are getting changed, what the trend is, how trend is getting changed. So something like that, they are just trying to represent in the form of a diagram. That's what this a figure or diagrams mean. Okay, so now I would like to tell you two main purposes which you need to do, or which you need to consider in task 1. You do not need to do anything beyond these two purposes. So you're not going to do anything apart from these 2 points, which I'm just going to explain you in a minute. So first one, show trends over time. So you'll be given a graph, table, chart or diagram. It will show how things have changed over time. So I'll just show you one example here. It shows how things have changed over time. So overseas students, I think they were around 2 lakh or 200,000, yes, in 2001, and then they grew to more than 800,000 or 8 lakh in 2010. So you see how this graph, how things are getting changed over time. So some date range would be there, along with what changes have happened in this time frame, right? So graph, or so one example just I can give you here. So graphs or diagrams will have different time periods. Say for example 1950 to 2000, just as I explained you in this example. So it will have some time range, for example 1950 to 2000, and you will be expected to say how over the time period things have moved or changed. So here you can see overseas students, total overseas students have changed, the number has drastically increased, and here also I think the number has drastically increased for local students till 2007, and then here it reached the saturation point. So just an example just to explain you this, how things are getting changed, I gave you this example. So here also you can see in the example, the graphs below show how the enrollments of overseas students and local students in Australian universities have changed over a 10-year period. So that's what we need to write on. So that's the main meaning of showing trends over time. So 2 main purposes of task 1. Number 1 is showing trends over time. That's the first purpose. Second main purpose, compare and contrast data. So you would see multiple elements, for example countries, fields, and I think in this example we saw overseas students, local students. So you will see multiple elements in the picture, and you have to compare all the elements over the time. So all in all, you need to show trends over time and compare and contrast the given element over time. As you can see here we have to compare rural areas and urban areas over time. So number 1 is trend, how things are getting changed over the time, and what elements are getting changed over the time, comparing and contrasting those elements. So these were the 2 main purposes, and here you can see I have both comparisons and trends for this graph, and here I think it shows average cost of housing for rural, suburban and urban areas. So we are going to see in depth all these things in my future videos, right? In my coming videos I am going to tell you the steps how you need to write the trends, how you need to compare the data within these how you need to compare the data within these graphs or pictures, whatever is presented. So I'm going to explain you all these things in detail, so do not worry, right? So here I think it's about average cost of housing, rural, suburban and urban areas. So you see one trend is given from 2000 to 2010, and trend is cost of housing in all three areas rose significantly from 2000 to 2010. This is about the trend. And if I talk about the comparison, so average cost of housing in lowest in the rural area and highest in the urban area. In 2010, the average cost of urban area housing was twice that of rural housing. So you see, we are comparing the elements. So here elements are this rural, suburban and urban areas. So we have got the elements here. So we are just trying to compare these elements, and that's what is the second main purpose of task 1. So 4 main things that you need to consider always while attempting task 1 question. Number 1 is you have to summarize and select only the main features of the report. And second one, you have to make comparison wherever relevant. So that's about what you need to write in task 1. Now 2 main purposes which you need to consider while writing. So number 1 is you have to show how things have changed over time. Number 2, you have to compare the elements presented in the picture or diagram. So how you need to do that, we'll see that in later videos. So I hope you have got the whole overview of task 1, what you need to write and what points you need to consider while attempting this report question. So that's it guys from this video. I'll see you in my next video.